Well, good evening, everybody. Happy Friday. Tom's settling himself to get in the house. He went for an appointment, and I thought it would be an appropriate time for Alan to come on and give us a little update. The governor's budget came out this week, and there's been a whole lot of action in our world. So Alan, why don't you tell us what's been going on in Tallahassee?
The governor's budget comes out since 2004, a governor has only had a rate increase in a budget one time, and that was 2 years ago when Governor DeSantis put in $30 million, and we ended up with $420 million. Well, this year he put in $60 million, so that means we're going to end up with about $800 million. If the math is right. No, I'm kidding on that, but that was the goal, is to get in the budget, because a few years ago there was money in the budget and the governor vetoed it. I think it was DeSantis. I don't remember. It might have been Rick Scott. But the fact that he said it's a priority, it's in the budget, I think that helps us with veto proof for rate increases, my gut feeling. But we were really happy that it was in the budget, because last year it was a difficult feeling because we thought we were going to be in the budget. And there's some other things there too. There's a little bit of professionalism for providers with some program that's not mandated. But in reality is whatever the House and Senate comes up with, that's the starting point now. Basically, the governor said, this is important. And then within a day, the Senate came out with a bill. And let me tell you, if you get your money, the rate increase in a bill, that's better than waiting. Historically, I don't know if a lot of you know that, but we would find out if there was any increases the last couple of days, when it never showed up at all, and then all of a sudden a little money would show up. But it looks like we're front and center. I mean, on Wednesday, I think it's Wednesday, it might be Tuesday, let me look real quick, but they're going to hear the bill that Senator Pasadomo has been talking about. Remember last year when she had an important bill, the housing bill? It was one of the first bills passed. So it became law, I think, even before session ended. So there's a good chance that this process, we can know a piece of it early, but that doesn't mean we stop advocating. But I would say the main thing about the governor is that we got in the budget. It is a priority, and everyone accepts that.
Can you explain? Because I'm new here. He said 127.4 million, like what, for people with unique abilities, and 60 million is for can you explain how it's 60?
Well, the 60.2 was the rate increase, and there was other money. I wish I had. I could send you. I could pull it up in a second. But the fact of the matter is, once the governor produces the budget, now the House and the Senate are going to decide what happens. But there's specific money. I'll find it and I'll put it in the chat, because I know the exact amount for each month. And they had some details, like it wasn't every service. It was, they were very specific about it, but I can put it in the chat. It was like 5% for ResHab, 5% for ADT, 10% for there were a bunch of others, but
yeah. So in that when Director Hatch was in front of the Senate, she broke those numbers down.
yeah.
That's how it gets to the 127. But the 60 is a rate increase.
The 60.2 is the rate increase, but it's not every rate. It's not across the board. It was the stuff she broke down, but there's other money for other things. I just gotta, let me find the here it is. I found it. Here it is. I got pulled it up.
That you guys sent this morning.
There was 79.6 million for the wait list, 11.5 million for adult dental. That's the same 11.5 million in contract dollars they haven't spent the last 2 years. Dual diagnosis pilot program, 6.5 million. iConnect had 2.8 million. There was 21.8 million for maintenance of state institutions. 3.5 million to develop a computerized system to cross-check emergency room hospital visits to make sure everything that's reportable as incidents is being reported. There was an APD study to look at rural providers, and there was a new program that they're doing, a new waiver program for
that
adults.
transitional
Yeah, the
program.
transitional.
I'll speak a little bit to that at some point.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, there's
No.
there's actually a bill on it I could send out that they had. It's not been filed yet or anything, but they attached the bill when they did their release. But it's that transitioning period when you graduate and they want to seek a new waiver. The money is just for a consultant to help them do it, I think. I don't think it's actually putting people on it, but they used to have something similar to this years ago. Jim DeBogren told me, but it's trying to focus. And I think it's seven services. Melissa, is
It's
that
a
right?
waiver light. It's a capped waiver light is really kind of what it is, where they're talking about so part of the key phrasing was the word capped. So it moves from a medical necessity determination for level of services, kind of more like a scholarship type thing where you're capped out. So it can be potentially a bridge, or it can potentially be a shift away from medical necessity to a capped program.
You know, Monday there's a hearing on not the wait. It's what we call the waiting list. I forgot what she calls it. The
Pre-enrollment.
The pre-enrollment. There's actually a hearing in the afternoon Monday where that's the only agenda item.
Oh,
So just so you know, and then Tuesday, the two bills of Pasadoma, one on technology and efficiency, and the other one on the rates and all that stuff. It's a big bill. It also includes increases the Medicaid rates for dental, which is another big thing. But there's so much in there. It's going to seem like probably 6 bills, but that's going to be Tuesday. We don't have the language. They haven't dropped it yet. If you look up the bill, it says pending whatever, but Tuesday, that's going to be heard. We're going to really find out a lot on Tuesday.
So what the bottom line really is historically, we're hoping to be thought of by the end. And here we are front and center at the beginning of a budget cycle. And I'll have to say, we all ought to give ourselves a little bit of a yay for being part of the reason that's happening. And we can do a little snap here on that. But as Alan was saying, hey, wait, nowhere are we near close to done. And that can also somewhat be considered a bit of a placeholder. When you're looking at the director's comments, one of the things that she put a lot of emphasis on was getting people as early as possible, getting a head start. She used this term a bunch of times. So an area that I've been talking about that I think is of critical importance to remember is there's over 7,000 people under the age of 21 under that quote category 7 that most of them could be eligible under the Medicaid state plan and brought off the wait list and served and protected under early periodic screening, diagnostics, and treatment. And that could be almost a 35% reduction in the current wait list, with the vast majority of the fiscal impact being on the Agency for Healthcare Administration. So I think we need to talk about that some and make people aware, because for me, what she said is so important. The earlier, the better, because the challenges that families experience between 3 to 21 can alter the makeup of a family, the survivability of the family, the career trajectory of families, the home ownership, the stability of jobs, and all those types of things. So I think it is really important that we continue to educate how critical that element of the waiver is. And I will begin to use exactly those words that were spoken by the director, because I concur with her 100%. The earlier, the better, because we know we can change the course of families. I know it from my own family that the impact of the waiver can be profound. So, Alan, I heard you were busy on some other things, and you got Fino all wound up today. What's going on?
If Fino got wound up, it means we talked about managed care.
It's personal.
Okay, okay, you know.
So personal.
Well,
I would say just because we're happy there's a lot of good stuff in the Senate bill, this is still the beginning of the advocacy. The session doesn't even begin till the 8th. And so, there may be targeted things we could do, like, normally we're spending all our time doing something that may happen early. So maybe I think there's going to be some substantive bills that we might not really like everything in it and might want to ask for amendments or something. So,
well, that's where we're having that legislative updates. And today, Stephanie put out a kind of a highlighted bills that may be of interest or that we need to keep an eye on, and being able to do that legislative tracking. And again, if you have support in the Senate, you better have support in the House too. So we need to make sure we continue to cultivate our representatives, find those champions, to make sure they're asking the right questions, because right now bad information, misinformation can actually hurt us. Accurate information, continuing to have stories that create champions out of legislators because they've taken it personal. They've met your kids, they're in your district, they're in their family now, continues to be a very critical strategy here when it comes to being able to be heard.
Yeah, you guys are definitely making the biggest difference. The families in particular, that is making it personal for the legislators has been, that's it. That's the big thing, and not stopping and continuing. And we did the delegations and we had really, decent turnouts at several of them. There was, just it was out there. Just down in Collier, I mean, Stephanie, the relation that you've developed, with Pasadomo, JJ and Pasadomo, it's even though, and the incoming Senate President Albritton had said at the delegation, he was like, I don't have family, but I have the heart to help. And that's what we need to hold them to, that compassionate conservatism, right, Tom Nurse? You're the one that told me, like you pointed that out. It was George W. Bush that said that. So that's something that we got to tap into in our legislators in particular. I do want to just a couple of things, if you guys don't mind. First off, today is Fino's birthday. It's his birthday.
Oh,
happy birthday, brother. Happy birthday.
Thank you, guys.
He's all excited about this.
I'm on top of the hill. It's just the way down from here.
Happy birthday. Enjoy it while it lasts, baby.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
But definitely what you guys were saying, definitely we cannot stop. This is great. We're in the front here. We need to keep going, because there was actually a bill that I don't know if Alan, if you'd forwarded it to me or Heavy, but
I did.
With the managed care, it's like an accountability bill for managed care and stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm glad to see that. I opened it and looked at it real quick. There's a lot of that going on, so this is good. The whole thing with the adult pathways waiver, that's I have notes about that presentation from APD and ACA from the other day. So APD is the only state agency that is not having any additional positions. It's the only one. All the rest of them have some positions being added, children and families being the most, ACA being second in place, APD last place has 0.
They gave back some positions.
What's
What
that?
do you mean
They gave
position?
back some positions.
They gave back
They're probably
positions.
vacant.
They're not adding any additional money for any new employees at APD.
If the paper doesn't move, the money doesn't move either. And that's part of the reality. And when you look at things, I'm on quality assurance for the consumer directed care program. there's been an influx of in that census, but not nearly the influence of staffing, and it has had an impact on the processing speed of things. So we need to continue to advocate. I know one of the Senate president's priorities is governmental efficiency. And so looking at, if we're bringing people on, not only do we need the providers, we need the capacity within the system for the administration and the processing of that. Go
So
ahead.
the
Lou.
APD, hold on, I need to be spoken like a 5-year-old. So the APD has said, hey, we're all staffed up, we're cool, thank you, no thank you, we don't need anything else.
Here,
No,
give
I
them-
don't
give them
think
back.
that they necessarily said that. I
Well,
just think like, they're
They're
not
not
adding
asking for it, right?
Well,
I don't think they're asked.
There's 1,000 vacant positions in the governor's budget that have been eliminated. So that's agencies that had openings, had budgeted FTEs, full-time equivalent positions within their budgets. And those positions have been empty. So rather than having the continuing of those dollars, you eliminate the funding and now the position is gone. And so one of the issues is, how do we bring on $79 million worth of people off the wait list, plus all these people coming in off of the 3 to 21, collaborating with the Agency for Healthcare Administration, if we don't have the staffing to be able to handle the flow. And I've heard no one say recently, oh man, it is so fast, I can't even know what to do.
Yeah, I think that because they're going in a different direction, that's why. Because
Yeah, they're not
APD
doing it.
hasn't functioned particularly well. That new waiver, the adult pathways waiver. So the services on that, it's geared for, like the kids coming out of high school and, age like up through like 26-ish. Personal support, supported living coaching, supported employment coaching, transportation, companion. Those are the services that they're looking to employ with that, with a cap. This is
That's the
something
point.
that was tried years ago. There was an FSL waiver. There was a cap of 14,892 or something like that. It was very limited and it didn't work. They got rid of it. They all got sucked into the waiver. But
Again,
that terminology with unique abilities, I've been thinking about this and stuff, because, I've been thinking about who's actually pushing that in particular. And when I stop and I think about it, it's actually, it's the First Lady DeSantis and also Taylor Hatch that really seem to be pushing it. And when I really stopped and drilled it down a little bit further, they are parents of young children. So I think that if you are a young parent, unique abilities sounds like a much better way to present that to your child. But the adults that I have spoken to, I haven't had not one parent of an older adult with a developmental disability or an adult with a developmental disability say that they were okay with it. I do see, I'm like the unique abilities and stuff, and we are a unique segment of that disability population, but they're going to have to pull back a little bit on it. And there's other more pressing things that should be addressed.
before that thought gets lost, unique
What's that?
abilities, I'm all for it. We have vocational rehabilitation that is intended to be able to cultivate and support employment-related access. So I think one of the things that we need to be sure that we're doing is not just saying, well, that sounds really great. We would be saying, absolutely, vocational rehabilitation needs to accept more of these people. They may be able to need to change their standards for employability and be able to invest in that. And the other person that has really been missing at this table for this waiver that new waiver we're talking about is, I worked for decades on transition.
For schools.
From
schools. Yes.
early steps to the waiver. So if we're talking about getting them early, that early steps transition should be the first one. The from school, I can tell you, I had a client that was so severely disabled and nobody would talk to him until the day he turned 21. And then and instead of saying, we can do all this advanced work, we can get it done, we can have a seamless thing. So I think we have the opportunity to take the dialogue that sounds so wonderful and make sure that there's a clarity of collaboration, that one of the things that I think APD has a tendency to do is think they have to do it all, when in fact, they need to do their part, which is the medical necessity for health and safety that would otherwise require a person to live in an institutional setting. That's APD's federal charge. Vocational rehabilitation should be maximizing employment and the unique abilities of an individual. The Department of Education should be preparing someone for adulthood and may need to require to do the transition from school supports to those that are in the homes and in the communities. So I think that don't let us be siloed that all the solutions are because APD is going to throw in some millions. We need to get back to the real dialogue about, we know by three many of the challenges that people have. Stephanie, you had a good clue by three what you were in for.
Yes, I sure did.
You know, Amanda, you've had a good clue what it was like. What it's at three. It was quite clear by three that there were true challenges. So we can't leave families behind by only relying on APD, but working on an education of the integrated system of supports that goes from birth through death. It includes APD, but let's make sure we get some dialogue going about transition, about when
So
you
they're
got
talking about VR positions coming into APD, like pulling.
That's what I heard too. I
Yes,
heard
that is what was
line
discussed,
services,
so.
VR, and APD, like
Yep.
But
winding.
let's also get ACA in there, and let's also get DOE in here, because you know that's a primary early childhood, you know, pre.
So one of the things that you had said with like the kids before, so I took a note when you were talking before, Tom, the kids under 21 and being able to obtain those additional services through Medicaid. Pretty much all of those services at this point are under some sort of a managed care entity, and we have a
No,
couple
the
of
families
that are
have a
really
choice.
battling
The families,
those companies to get services.
and the
So-
option is to abandon those companies, and you do have the choice that is hard to exercise, and the system keeps switching you back to managed care, but you can opt out of managed care, go to the Medicaid state plan, have a much clearer path to the federal protections of early periodic screening, diagnostics, and treatment than we have in the statewide Medicaid managed care. It is so diluted between the original contractors and then the subcontractors.
Right.
There's no accountability, and the state goes, well, it's not our problem, we contracted it out. So our goal is to
Yeah,
make.
but Tom, they
Tom,
actually just introduced something for the last of the Medicaid to go over to managed care, the
Yes,
last
yes.
of it. They're just,
And not only
talked
that,
about that.
not only that, Tom, but as far as we know, the only patients that have a choice to go on to straight Medicaid are the patients that are enrolled on the waiver program. If you're not on the waiver program, you are mandated to pick one. If you don't pick one, they'll put you one.
No, you can opt.
in.
I believe you can still opt out.
I don't think so.
I think that every
so.
system that I've looked at, because I know that I've had about 15 people this year get out of managed care. I have used the inadequacies of the statewide Medicaid managed care long-term waiver to be the reason that they moved by crises into APD because of the failure of that system to deliver. So, you know,
if they're enrolled in the waiver program and they get approved, then yes, then they have that option to not have to be enrolled in the managed care. But if you're not on the waiver program, you do not have the choice to go on to straight Medicaid.
So is on a waiver program, or you're one of those fabulously pre-enrolled? I mean, pre-enrolled would be if there was money available. Yes, you qualify for APD, but you don't qualify.
No, you don't. Not on the wait list, because we've had plenty of kids that have come in to us and they weren't able to qualify until they got the iBudget waiver slot so that I could apply for Medicaid for them as a household of one. Anytime they're on the wait list, they're under their parents at that point. They can't.
Exactly.
That's the primary purpose of that
yeah.
of that waiver, was to families have destroyed themselves, divorced, impoverished, quit jobs, done disastrously.
And that's what Alan has said. They'll continue to stretch the families. That's what Alan has said a number of times I've heard him say that.
And that's
And
why
what
our
Melissa-
stories
and
about
what-
the stretch is so important.
Right, and what Melissa said is they're looking to force everybody to enroll into managed care, whether you're on the waiver or not. I don't know how
Look.
far that's moved, but we have heard that eventually they're going to eliminate straight Medicaid as a whole, and then you have no choice to be enrolled.
And so that,
I
that-
actually think that's why they haven't contracted out the dental. I mean, I think they did not like that we had fee for service to get dental. I don't think they want any more fee for service.
you know,
That's
so
my-
Alan, that kind of brings us to a very serious question that will ultimately need to be asked of each legislator, of each senator. At some point, we're going to have a vote. Are you with us or against us? Do you support the commitment to serving people with developmental disabilities? Do you support the implementation of the federal agreement that you made 30 years ago or not? Because at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. Are you going to, and what makes a difference is it's a difference between a global question like that and saying, are you going to support Logan and Gavin? Are they part of your constituents too? Are you a champion for them too? And it doesn't have to be mean-spirited, but if they don't know, we assume they don't know. If they don't care, we know it's different than that. And that's what it really comes down to. We're going to assume more people don't know than they don't care. Because in the world of making progress, those that don't care don't care. Those that don't know is where the opportunity lies to convert them into allies and supporters. The ones that are like, you can say anything you want, I'm not hearing anything you want to say, move on. Those that are saying, I didn't know that, I need more information, I didn't realize this person was in my district, that's where the opportunities lie.
Yes,
This-
Amanda.
This
Real quick.
meeting, go ahead,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, go
Having
ahead.
said that, Tom, when we're talking to these folks, if we can make a note of who the ones are that are saying, I need to learn more and seem genuine in wanting to help, if we need to make a list of
Work hard.
so if there's something that's already going, or if anyone has anything of like our allies, that we can continue building those relationships with. Because I realized this morning that, well, not just this morning, but anyway, I'm going to Tallahassee at the end of January for a couple of days for Rural Counties Days. And then I'm going back 2 weeks later for DD Day for a couple of days. So I want to try to maximize my time there as best I can and try to set appointments, whether it be 5 minutes just to shake their hand and say, hey, thanks for your support, or, whatever.
Hey.
And
We're
then
working on
I
vote.
just, because I am going to the reception for Rural Counties Days, which I know a lot of the legislators attend. So that's my opportunity to be like, hey, who are you? Oh, cool. You're one of the good guys. Let me shake your hand.
And you know what Stephanie just created today was this one pager that kind
Oh
of
yeah, I put it in the chat. Wait, hang
Yes.
on, maybe I can share it. Is this one
you
page?
share that. We'll talk about that a little bit because
And Amanda, I'm just rural. I'm thinking definitely Albritton's gonna be there. He's a rural
100%.
guy. He's Polk
Yep.
County. He was down in Charlotte. He was at the Charlotte one. He stayed after. He spoke to our group and stuff. He's the one that said, I have the heart to help. He's the incoming Senate president. And
Okay.
then, obviously Danny Perez, Gail Harrell, Sam Harrison,
Shrink it
they've
down.
all,
you see
stated,
that?
yes.
yes, just shrink it down. some.
Okay. And actually, Melissa, I'll get with you because I have
Yeah,
the map of all the different counties that participate in that.
okay.
And
And when is that again? When is that?
It's January 25th and 26th.
Okay,
I
all
think the
right.
reception is the 25th or the
Okay.
evening of the 25th. And then the actual day is the 26th.
That's fabulous.
I'll text you.
And
I'll let you know.
And you know, while you're
Okay, yeah,
talking
we'll talk
rural,
then.
you can be talking multiple things, and that's part of it is the access to healthcare, access to early intervention, access to developmental services. and-
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to ask them like what's going on in their counties that perhaps, Putnam can start working on for services with people with developmental disabilities. I refuse to say unique abilities.
That's what you
But
say at VR.
yeah. So the other thing I wanted to ask real quick while I have the microphone is what should we be doing now that the delegation meetings are over? What should we be doing in the meantime? Like just hanging out, seeing what happens with these bills, or
Part of
like
it is
what's
to
our homework?
keep it
pretty
local. One of the things you need to do is keep it local,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that the office didn't all move to Tallahassee. The
Uh-huh.
constituent services are still in town. And they
Right.
are one of the best conduits to Tallahassee because when you go to Tallahassee, you'll see it's like a carousel of visitors minute after minute, and it's really hard to get much in the way of glad to meet you. Thank you. Here's my card. Talk to you later. But when you're talking to the aides that are back at home and you're still talking about here's the challenge, here's the opportunity, here's something I'm really excited about, here's something I'd like to help you with. That's a really good conduit that being both in Tallahassee to see them, but also maintaining one of our key strategies is we are in family. And the family is still home in their office, in their local offices. Make appointments with them, go see them, make them your new best friend. You stay on top of them and help them because ultimately, again, we're differentiating between those that don't know versus those that don't care.
Right.
And those that don't know, we want to help them.
I
Those
like
that
the
don't-
question a lot. I think that like what Alan said, this is where advocacy begins. Now that we've got a budget established, and a lot of our families on the Facebook page, most of them aren't on the meeting tonight, but they've been asking like, what can we do? And I think if we have a weekly objective, like this week, XYZ, if we could come up with something like this week, everybody speak with one voice should. And that, yeah, I like that. What do you guys think?
Well, I think one of the things that's really important today is that we've gone from nothing to having some impact here in a relatively short period of time, but it was still difficult sometimes to explain to people, what are you? Who are you? What are you doing? Because they're used to more structured entities and not just families. So we've been talking about a one pager, something that can quickly be able to kind of capture who are the people I've been hearing about. Stephanie, why don't you talk about this?
Okay. So there's like a local civic group I'm in, and the guy asked me, could you give all of that wonderful information in one page? Which is what I made. And Tom helped me with the historical context, because mine was, me talk. Like this has, official titles of Roman numeral things. But it just says what our mission is. I took out the 10 families because at this point, we want to be beyond that. We want all families in the state of Florida to connect with our local legislators by sharing our stories and to let them know we're not aligned with any group. We are just families acting in the best interest of our loved ones. And then I put what our concerns are, what disabilities are covered from the general population. I have heard a lot of feedback like, well, do you really think all those 22,000 people on the wait list are actually in need? So this shows them, yes. And then the historical context to kind of show how we came to be. It wasn't just, that the governor was like, hey, let's just change this. There is a lot going on in the early 90s to make sure that we have a waiver. A lot of things that echo what's happening today. And then I put our sweet logo on there because come on, that's so awesome. And who we are, like a little like pretty thing, you know, we're family led, family driven advocacy effort. And then a call to action. So that way we could hand this out to other families who maybe don't know about our group, and give them very specific ways on how that they can join in the effort. I think we've tried in a lot of, I'm going to stop this because I can't see right.
Stephanie, is
yeah.
there any way you could send me a copy of that? Because as I'm making my deliveries, I could always slip one of those in there. So as we're dropping off supplies or whatever, we're just dropping off that flyer. So
That
I
would be
need, yeah,
awesome.
I need a copy of that because we
Can
got
you
patients
click
up.
it on this, on the chat? Like, can everybody get it?
Is
I
it
just
on the
want to
chat?
test it. Yeah. I want to
Okay.
test to
Was
see
it that, or did you, no, you shared the news story
Oh,
at the
that,
very
okay, so
We
beginning.
that,
haven't
I
even
did that
talked
one
about
in the
that yet.
beginning. So let me do it again right now. I want to see if you guys can, shoot. I don't know what that just did.
We make it
Isn't
up
it
as we
online,
go.
Stephanie? Didn't you put it online?
It is online. But I want to see if we could do it in these meetings because I try to.
This is a
Just
good
real
way to
quick.
share information. It's also on the resource page, I believe, on the
Tell me if you get that.
yep.
Yeah, I got it. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
And
And
that way, and now you might want to do a higher resolution one directly. If you want to reach out to Steph, she can send you something more than 118 kilobytes. That's pretty
Oh,
No,
I
I
don't.
think it's still
low
down.
limit. So anyways, this is a really good calling card. And it's a really good way to easily link back to your local office. Hey, you might have started to hear a little more about us. Here's a little summary of us. And we can be able to be like, hey, just checking into you. I wanted to make sure you're keeping an eye on this bill. Hey, I had some concerns about this thing. And the more we work it, this is about we the people. And the only way we get to we the people is if we talk, if we reach out, if we educate, and we enlighten. And so this is a big step forward. And here's a second example.
Yeah.
Go
So
ahead
that
and
would
talk
be a
about
good
this.
homework assignment for us to give ourselves, right? Like take that one pager and make a conversation with your local guys. Like, hey,
Can you
representative,
put that in the chat, please? That's great.
this thing here that's up,
Yeah.
is it not there?
And we're probably going to want to upgrade it more so we have some way to link it to where they are in that bill.
Yeah, so I just wanted a starting point. I
Yeah.
actually called Dina Justice and asked her for the bills that they're tracking. And I think that it's really important that as we start to move into bill session, that we are at least somewhat understanding of the what's coming out. So what I did was, I hope this works. Can you see my mousey thing?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna click this. I'm gonna say okay. Do you see the other thing coming up?
Not yet.
Oh, it doesn't share. Well, anyways, when you click that document on like where the bill is, it should give you the text to the bill. So that way you can actually read the different bills that are there.
And then as that bill evolves and goes from first draft to second reading and third reading, and you can track the language of the bills. And when we've got, folks like Alan that has some incredibly good legislative tracking information and resources and linking us into that, we can be very knowledgeable and on top of things because, if we've got somebody's ear, you better be telling the right stuff.
Well, and I think like these are also good conversation carry honors for your legislators, like the Medicaid managed accountability bill that just came out. We could ask some really good open-ended questions for the legislators on what we're going to do with this data and how much we're getting. And like just there's a bill about that autism paperwork. Frick. you know, the diagnostic criteria they have to come back with. I think that those, for me, that was a good conversation piece for me and my local legislator, because we already talked about that. But like the ones that speak to your family, especially, those are ones, and you know, not some of these things they're gonna need input on from us. And so the more we can understand them, I have a really hard time of being like, okay, I think that's what they're saying, and like we can discuss
Oh, good.
the language.
One of the things that's also important.
I'm really glad you said that, Stephanie, because when I was looking at all those, I'm thinking that the majority of people, and I thought I had a few neurons left to be able to say, what are they talking about? Why don't we look at doing a pro and a con to it for our people? Because like I said, I know I'm not the only one that doesn't quite, and I'm glad you said that doesn't quite get it. But the bottom line is most of the people that we're trying to reach to come on board, they ain't gonna get it either. And the bottom line is if we go through it and do we do a pro and a con, so I know, is that good or is that bad, or what do I need to be speaking about?
And
like,
one of the things that happens in this process coming up now is the bill analysis. So they will be publishing, here's the fiscal impact, here's what it means, here's how it's affect. And we can put up, you know, later we can show an example of a bill from last year that impacted us and how the language for the pre-enrollment showed up, because it got into an amendment, nobody questioned it, boom, there it went. And so when the pro and con thing is good that we're looking for that, but it's also really important to dial down, because I'll tell you the truth, the difference between an and an or can make all the difference in the world. You know,
shall and a may or must.
What I could do is I do a report every week, and a lot of the bills, some of the bills aren't going to ever come up. We know that already, and some of them will. It becomes important when they schedule it in the committee. That's when it becomes real important. They won't even do the analysis until they schedule it. So, but I can maybe send something out on the bills that are scheduled the following week with a little blurb about it.
Yes,
that would be incredibly
so
helpful.
awesome. Please do that.
Again, informed advocates can make a more impact. The more that we demonstrate that we got our eyes on this thing, that we're expecting, help and input, and, we keep remembering, this is really important to Jordan or whoever the person that you're built that relationship with. It makes a difference. And so, Alan, you're absolutely right. This is sophisticated stuff that gets complicated, and many times you can have a wolf in sheep's clothing sometimes, that the title of a bill sounds so wonderful and the language of the bill is shocking. So it is really, really important that the language is read, that public comment, both written and testifying, is important. Many times the public comment period or the opportunity to speak at a hearing can be a frustrating, limited moment, but being able to have spent a few minutes or a follow-up on our email before that meeting happened, educating your legislator, can have a profound impact on what question they ask or how they pose themselves in those meetings. I mean, we saw it yesterday, that article from the Miami Herald and the Orlando Sentinel, it came up, the $800 million question came up.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to get.
And the answer was
Yes.
And they asked for, we want a detailed written explanation of this whole thing. And
How do we get that detailed written explanation?
So it doesn't have to be a gotcha. It can be potentially an opportunity, because, look at the reaction when people started to hear that. We have had decades of we don't have any money, we don't have any money, we don't have any money. And we get hit with $0.8 billion of money that didn't happen. That is really getting a lot of people's attention, and it's kind of a hard one to go, well, it's a big deal. So we want to stay on top of that.
Tom, what I want to say about that is it got people's attention because it made the news. It made the news, and he made a big stink about that. And that's for the people up in Tallahassee, that's a shot in the back of the head because they can't cry wolf anymore because the money was there and it just wasn't used properly and it ended up going back.
So Stephanie,
that
what
was
happened this week? What happened this week in the news?
Oh, this
What?
week in the news, this young girl,
Emma.
that in the, did I put that in the thing?
Yeah, Emma Rodriguez.
I did. It's in there. Okay, so there was an article on us, on We the People, which was really stinking awesome. It's local, but I think news is news, and
That's right.
Well, with social networking, nothing's local.
right.
Nope. Keep sharing
Yeah.
it. Keep sharing it. Keep sharing it.
Yeah, and all those stories need to be shared. I think that if we have other media connections, which I don't, I was tapped out on that college freshman, but those are that would get our voice out even further. We've got a little bit of understanding of who we are within the legislators, but they're high dollar constituents. It's not just our people that need to be talking. It would be way more powerful if the outside community is like, well, wait, what are these people talking about? Like, what are you doing to help developmentally disabled? That's what's happening here locally, is because I have a big old mouth. A bunch of people who had no idea anything about our people are starting to ask, like, what is this thing you're talking about? What do you mean there's 22,000 people on a wait list for that
He
long?
needed $800 million that didn't get used with all these
800,
people.
yeah,
That
No.
was huge.
So that's going to keep coming back. And so here went from the Miami to Orlando to Naples. I mean, that's where the governor's budget was released. Hello, why was he there? Because it's a very politically important part of the state. And so being able to have that kind of press, being able to now share it with your legislators, it's a simplified version of a complicated issue in a way that highlights families that are not going away because we're not, and in a way that, I think it was pretty darn powerful.
You know what? I just want to throw my 2 cents because I'm getting called here. But I just want to say how important these meetings that we've been having ever since this took off the ground. I mean, I just wish this would have started 10 years ago, but I guess it's never too late. And
It started 30 years ago. We're just doing it again without Zoom.
exactly. But this is we just gotta keep our voices nice and loud. We got to make sure everybody hears us, because what I'm noticing is that ever since this took off and the families are out there going to these delegation meetings, things are starting to shake up there. They're starting to realize we don't want bad blood. We gotta do what needs to be done. And I think this whole we the people could never stop. We can't say, okay, we did our job, we're done, everybody go their own separate ways. This has got to continue forever, because unfortunately, people with disabilities need our help, and we got to be there no matter what. And I think this is huge. This is great. And I thank everybody to be in this meeting. I appreciate for me to be part of these meetings. And I think we're really heading in the right direction. And if we put our heart and soul into what we're doing, we could pretty much accomplish whatever we want. So this is huge. I want to thank everybody in the meeting that this is, it seems to me that this is really starting to grow. The word is getting out there, and thank you for everybody. And this is something that should have been started years ago, but again, never too late. But we can't give up. We got to continue doing what we're doing, and I think they're going to understand where we're coming from, because of these people with disabilities need our help. Period. Bottom line. And it's not about the number, and that's how managed care operates. It's all about the number, and there's just no way that's going to work. That's just my gut feeling. Maybe it is going to work, but we can't include numbers when it comes to patients with disabilities. What we have to include is we got to get the job done and we got to move forward. Period. End of story. Because
You,
I've
happy
seen
birthday,
it,
my
and
friend.
I think this is the way we need to go. This is huge, and I'm really excited that I think we're headed in the right direction.
We
Thank
are,
you.
To be a
we
part
can't
of
back
it.
Happy
down.
birthday.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Fino.
stinking
Yeah.
birthday.
Happy
You know you're
birthday,
getting
For
Fino.
spending it with us.
Yeah, I mean, it's my, maybe today something happened and I just got it all out. I don't know.
Yeah, you feel better. It's a little therapy session for you, and that'll be $50.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he's absolutely right. This is not a
Yep.
one session deal. But even within this session, we really need to try to strategize on how to get more groups, people aware of what we're doing. Like, feel like we've done a pretty good job of gathering that initial sect of participants, but the stories have, pittered a lot.
Well, I think that we take this flyer now.
Yeah.
And Melissa, I think that's a perfect support coordinator flyer now because it's one page, it's easy to share, it's not political, it's not affiliated. And
So-
we want to request them to fill it in, and we should have
which
10,000.
one are you talking about, Tom?
The
I'll do it.
one-page
Which one?
flyer on We the People and who we are.
Oh,
because
that
I-
flyer, yes.
it also has the link to the stories. So that gives them an easy one pager to share with their clients to help facilitate it. We need to get these faces because I want to make sure when it comes to DD Day that these flyers are covering the Capitol. So we're going to need to look at some production.
I've been meeting with my
costs.
WSCs. I've told them, I was like, it's mandatory. You got to do it. I was like, make
Yeah.
sure when you're going to
That's-
visit.
I
Do it
just
at
have
the
one.
visit.
I just have one more thing, Stephanie. That
Yes.
flyer you put out there. Is there any way, or do you know someone that could translate it into Spanish? We have to have it in Spanish also.
I got someone.
Okay,
Got
we
you.
have to.
I got
We
you,
have to
man.
translate because I got a lot of Spanish-speaking families, and I think that'll be a lot. That'll be a big help if we could translate that to Spanish.
And
Okay.
that speaks to a very important part
I
of what
think that's
we
true
are
too.
as a diverse-
And like Creole as well. Yes.
You know,
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
we're
Alan,
looking
are
for
you
the-
emailing that by chance?
I will when we get off. I'll send it
Okay.
to you guys. But
Thanks.
the Pasadomo's bills just came out. One's 115 pages, the other one's 15 pages, and the analysis is also there. So they're going to be heard on Tuesday afternoon, and so you can read the analysis. I haven't looked at it yet, but I'll send it to Stephanie and Melissa and Tom, and you guys can. I don't have the email list with everybody, but
Hey,
Yeah,
but
we'll
you know,
pass it
you
out.
got your own juice, brother, and we appreciate it because the fact that we're working together, the fact that we have such a diverse group of interested people that care is where a lot of the power is lying in this group. We have stories to tell, truth to tell, human stories to tell. And as we're doing this, look at what's starting to happen. Now, one of the things that Stephanie mentioned and Alan has mentioned, the legislative process is not as quick as one would want. It's not as complete as you would hope. This is not we're going to get this thing done in the next few months and we can go back to sleep. We got to keep pushing and pushing. Now that I've got your attention is what we are really kind of at. But the progress, the legislative language, the completely complex nature of the system, it's going to take time, it's going to take effort, but building those legislators that are willing to do the work, to do the research, to listen to the language, to rely on people that have expertise will really do us well. So we're going to keep going. Amanda, I saw your hand up.
Yes, I just want to jump in really quick, going back to that news story. I think my husband said it best. He actually shared it, which I was pretty excited about. But he said, I just need everyone to know how hard Amanda Hayes worked to advocate for Jaden in this part. This group is making waves for change. And that's what we're doing, guys. And
Stoked
I'm
up, baby.
so stoked to be a part of it.
Well, we love you.
Glad you could be a
You're
part
gonna
of
make
it.
me cry.
You got a question?
Yeah,
Go
thanks
ahead.
for getting up there, and all of you guys, like, for, we've got a good strong start, but we got to keep at it. March 31st, we don't let
Yeah.
our guard down, and we keep trying to pull more people in, bring more awareness. Alan, or I'm sorry, whoever was saying before, like, some of them, or Tom, if you just don't care, you don't care. We can't make them care. Maybe we can make those guys pretend they care, but there's other people that, they say they got the heart for it. Well, let's bring them out with us and stuff.
Yeah.
Turn them
So,
into leaders and champions. Who
and
else
I've
has
got my
done that?
assignment. I will make sure that the coordinators are handing that out and cranking up the stories. And Victoria DeWaters, who is on here, she's also an owner of a QO agency out there. So
Excellent.
she's cool, and she'll definitely send some stuff out too. I'm sure of it. So
I put the 2 links into the 2 bills. That also has the analysis on it. You'll see a bunch of tabs. So you'll have the analysis on the 2 bills. It's
Did you happen to
7016.
see my bill? Is that not out
Yeah,
yet?
that's your bill.
Which one?
Probably 7016 since it's 115 pages.
Got wrapped in a big bill. Great.
The other one's 16 pages that deals with technological something. I haven't read either of them.
Is there innovation council thing?
That would probably be in the 16 pager, I think. I'll look real quick.
Healthcare innovation.
Yeah,
While
they-
he's looking, is there any possibility that Amanda, if I could get some info from you about the rural areas?
Yeah.
That's kind of where my passion is lying. I moved here from California to Hamilton County, which is
Wow.
a very rural area, and it's been kind of a culture shock.
You
You know,
wonder,
today.
you think?
as far as
Dude,
the-
now I know exactly who you are.
Yeah.
You handed a
Yeah.
hell of a story, and I thought that was really awesome.
Well, stick with
Yeah.
us. We're gonna help you.
Hamilton. Oh yeah, you're up north on the border of Georgia. I have this.
Uh-huh.
That's
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I need to check out.
But
Happy
those are the
birthday!
counties.
Gotta
birthday.
We all
go.
do.
Don't go too hard, old man.
No, I
don't go
won't.
too
I won't. I
hard.
got my walker ready.
All right.
Happy birthday,
Hey,
Pino.
guys,
Thank you.
Have a good night,
Bye.
and we'll talk soon.
It's
All right.
7 o'clock. It's Friday
All right.
night. Do
Yeah.
you know where your party is? Probably in
Oh, you guys are my most favorite people to hang out with on Fridays.
Yes, it
Mine
is.
too.
I
Wow.
know we've got Renaissance fairs coming
Yeah.
up. We've got all
Yeah,
7018 is the council.
Thank you guys very much.
7018 is the council. It seems like the whole bill deals with this big council for healthcare.
Yeah,
they
this
came up with.
healthcare innovation thing sounds like an interesting one.
So hopefully the sense of urgency is in the first bill, 7016.
And remember, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. So when these councils and stuff get created, you want to be sure you get appointed. You want to make sure you're at that table and have a voice. Until that time, speaking of the table, I think there's dinner tables calling for many of us. And I just want to say thank you. This has inspired me in ways I hadn't expected. I am grateful for the diversity of folks that have gotten involved. And as every day I get shocked by what gets put out and how professional we're looking and how much we're working with other folks that care. So as we keep working, remember, keep it local, keep it honest, keep it real, and make them know who you are so you can be their best friend.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. It didn't hit me right. You were iPhone Kathy, and I know we talked. So this is Kathy from Broward. Kathy, say hi.
Hi, how are you?
Kathy.
Oh.
Yes, I'm very happy for this meeting. Hi, Alan, how are you?
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, I'm Berthie's friend.
Oh, super.
Yes,
Good to see you.
Super.
yes, good to see you guys. This has been very inspiring. And I would like to do the same thing, which is to pass out the flyers, being that I'm an occupational therapist.
Great.
I meet with a lot of families, and I've been putting that out to every single person I know, every group I know, whatever you send me, Stephanie, I'm sending it into Denise's list. So I like that flyer that you have, the one pager. I'm trying to tell everybody because this is exactly what we need. To all come together as families with one common goal, clear, concise, understandable. And just, also the thing is too, Stephanie, is like, I like having the, what's your homework for this week? Well, let's get the flyers out, get the, where it's broken down and just sort of chunked into smaller sections so that we eventually accomplish our goal, but everybody keeps at it.
I think, yeah, I wasn't sure what we do once we get past delegation meetings. And so thank you, Amanda. I think just once a week for all of us to do the same thing, will really be powerful. We'll just pick it each Friday. What's next week?
Yeah.
2:00.
Yeah, next week is 2:00. So 2:00 next week, Friday, 2:00.
Is that our last one before the Christmas break?
I haven't looked at the schedule.
Maybe it's 2 weeks. I know that there was a 2-week break coming up.
Yeah.
Friday's the
Break
15th.
with-
I think, yeah, it's the 22nd and the 29th. Oh, wait, hold on. It's still on my calendar. So I just haven't updated it. I sent did I send the calendar out to everybody yet?
You
I
resend
want
it.
myself accountable.
But the truth is that take time with your family too, and we're going to keep working on that. There's a network of communication, the website. We now have a website. Thank you, Jim. We have a YouTube. We've got the Facebook page, and those
Oh
are
yeah, and Jim Howard's YouTube video that he made is 1 minute and 35 seconds. For
Yeah,
people
it's
who don't
great.
love to read, send them the video. Everybody likes to watch a video, and it says
Yeah.
the same thing. Do your story. Do your story.
So
And-
we're where we need to be, and we got to keep pushing so we can get to where we want. And it's an honor to work together with you all.
Great.
Hey, Stephanie, real quick, what was the thing that you just said? It's a video on the YouTube?
So yeah, it's on the YouTube. Jim
Okay.
Howard put it together for us. Hold on, before we log off, I'll make sure that I put it in the thingy because he did such a good job putting this together. It even has like a little song that's cute. I was mass impressed. But this is one that we could all share, whether you're an avid social media user or not. The rest of the world is, and the more you share these YouTubes, the more algorithms that are created so that it goes to outside people who wouldn't normally stumble across it. And so all of these videos, share them because they will help spread that internet.
Who made
word.
this?
Jim Howard with By My Side Today. He's also the family guy that made us the web page. And he's the
Family Care Council Pensacola too.
chair of Family Care
Okay.
Council Area 1. What a cool guy. His kid's been on the wait list for 18 years and he puts his heart, blood, and soul in making sure caregivers are and providers are looked after. So he did a really good job with this. If you run into Jim Howard, please tell him that. I don't think he knows how cool he is.
This is great.
Yes.
Isn't it great?
Stephanie, how
Yeah,
come at YouTube?
I love it.
It's on the YouTube. And when I get done and I do the little We the People recap email, I'll make sure I have the one pager in there and the video and the bills that we're tracking.
And thank
yeah.
you, Ellen, for keeping us up to date on those. And I was going to say earlier, and I know we're about to get off here, but the more informed we are and the more educated we are on this so that we can actually sound like intelligent people. Because I know some of these bills are so confusing and but it adds to our credibility. If we sound like we know what we're talking about, then they're like, oh snap, like they're actually paying attention. And so that was just my little tidbit.
When you start getting a call from your legislative office wanting your input, you broke through.
Right. And that's
what we
what
want.
we're working for.
That's what we're working for, that they look at us as, You may not have the answer, but I know you know the people that do. Help me
Right.
out here. And that's the kind of relationships we can cultivate at a local level. It's very, very hard to do with the high rolling fancy dudes that are women that are in there lobbying. We can't compete in that circle. We can compete in our own circle.
Mhm.
Okay. Well,
Bye.
I'm going to a medieval festival tomorrow. I will absolutely share all the pictures. I'm so excited.
I'm so
Uh,
excited for you.
I gotta get off this and get back to my baby cakes.
See y'all.
Love you
Have
guys.
a
See
good
you
night.
2
All
o'clock
right.
Friday.
Thank you.
Talk next Friday. See ya.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a wonderful